Hey guys, welcome to Young Adult Book Talk with your school librarian, Mrs. Harris. I'm excited to introduce to you 3 new graphic novels that we have available to check out in our library. I know what you were thinking. Graphic novels? Aren't those like comic books about superheroes and villains? Those are for kids. Or maybe you're thinking that reading graphic novels doesn't count as real reading because they have pictures in them. Well, guess what? It does. And graphic novels are not just for kids. Nope. While graphic novels do have pictures in them, there are still text to read and stories to get caught up in. The illustrations only add to your experience by drawing you into the story and helping you visualize what is going on. With less text on each page, graphic novels tend to be quick reads that get you hooked fast. As graphic novels have become more and more popular over time, there's a wide variety of topics you can choose from fiction to nonfiction, even biography and memoirs, there's something for everyone. So let's take a look at 3 graphic novels on very different topics and see what they have to offer. Let's get right into it. This first graphic novel is a New York Times bestseller that came out this year by Jerry Craft and is called The New Kid. It follows the story of Jordan Banks, a middle schooler who is starting 7th grade at a private school, Riverdale Academy, on the other side of town from his Washington Heights home. Jordan is nervous about this new school. He knows his parents want the best for him academically and to have opportunities that they didn't growing up, but Jordan would be more excited if his parents would send him to art school, which is his true passion. Starting at a new school can be hard on anyone, but it turns out to be even more nerve-wracking on Jordan, as the majority of his new school is made up of rich white kids, and Jordan is definitely in the minority. Luckily, Jordan is introduced to Liam, who is his guide at school, so that he has at least one familiar face on the first day of school. Even though Liam and Jordan are from different backgrounds, they end up having a lot in common and becoming friends. At his new school, Jordan notices a lot of stereotyping occurring. There's a teacher who can't seem to keep any of the African American students' names straight, a librarian who suggests to a fellow African American student a certain book because he should be able to relate to the main character because he has a lot of struggles to overcome. There's an African American teacher who all the other teachers call coach, even though he doesn't coach any sports and has been teaching there for years. Assumptions are made about the different type of food you like based on the color of your skin. And then there's Andy, a white student who is constantly making stereotypical assumptions and generalizations about the other minorities at their school while also picking on them. While Jordan tries his best to fly under the radar and overcome the subtle racism occurring, his new friend Drew, who is also African American, decides to confront these attacks head on, which sometimes get him into trouble. Because Drew is a good athlete, Andy always assumes starting positions are handed to him and not earned. Similarly, Andy accuses him of not being a good student and only there on a sports scholarship, even though Drew is making better grades than Andy. As if middle school isn't hard enough to navigate, being a minority at a predominantly white school presents its own set of obstacles to adjust to and overcome. Luckily, Jordan is able to learn and adjust with the help of his new friends, both black and white. Throughout his 7th grade year, Jordan is learning a lot about life and the real world at this new school, but he is also able to find his own place at school and learn how to stand up for himself. The New Kid by Jerry Craft is a quick, easy read with colorful cartoon-like illustrations. The graphic novel will appeal to anyone who has ever felt out of place before or who has had assumptions made about them. Jordan and his friends are likable and easy to relate to as they try to navigate middle school and figure out what type of person they want to be. The second graphic novel I wanted to highlight is a 2019 YALSA Excellence in Nonfiction Award winner. The Unwanted, Stories of the Syrian Refugees by Don Brown was published in 2018 and is a nonfiction graphic novel detailing the Syrian refugee crisis. What if a civil war broke out in your country? What if you and your family had to worry about bombs and missiles threatening your neighborhood and community? Would you flee the only home you have known? Leave behind loved ones and friends? Where would you go? How could you get there safely? Would you be able to start a new life with nothing more than what you could carry on your back? Would you be able to start over from scratch where you know no one and don't know the language? These are all questions people of Syria had to ask themselves as they got caught up in a war between the current ruler Assad and the rebelling Arab Spring. The Unwanted starts off by showing you just how unsafe and devastating things are getting in Syria, following the arrest, imprisonment, and torture of a group of teenage boys who graffitied "Down with the Regimen" on a wall in Daraa. Tension between Assad's regime and the Arab Spring escalates quickly, and soon a full-on war has broken out between the two groups. Tanks, snipers, kidnappings, tortures, and violence erupt between Assad's forces and anyone suspected to be on the opposing side. The Syrian people have no other choice but to leave their homes and everything behind them for their own safety. If they stay, they risk losing their lives. The problem is, leaving is also a very dangerous and harrowing journey. Many will never make it to safety. This graphic novel depicts the struggles the Syrian refugees face as they leave the country. Some flee on water, on boats that only to capsize or fall apart, and many drown in the waters. Others choose to travel on foot, trying to dodge the fighting and hide from Assad's forces, who will kill anyone trying to flee. And some end up paying their entire life savings to be smuggled out, only to be tricked at the last second, or worse, caught. Thousands die trying to flee the country. Some stories end in tragedy, and others are lucky to make it to safety. But once they reach a new country, the journey of struggle and hardship does not end. Thousands of people are fleeing Syria, and bordering countries are overwhelmed. Those that are allowed in are often taken advantage of. Children end up having to work alongside adults for little or no money to provide for their families. The neighboring countries do not have enough resources to accommodate such a huge influx of people. Refugee camps are set up with barely livable conditions, and eventually borders are shut and refugees turned away because the Syrians are becoming a drain on their own country's resources. Over time, aid and relief begin to dry up and disappear, leaving thousands without a place to call home and start a new life. The refugees are unwelcome, shunned, and often told to keep moving so that they do not become a burden on the country they are in. Their plight is not over, and many refugees are still trying to find a safe place to call home. The Unwanted by Dawn Brown is an honest look at the plight of the Syrian people and all that they have had to face and are still facing. This moving graphic novel gives glimpses into individual stories, leaving you wondering how countries can turn their backs on these desperate people, and what your role might be in helping the Syrian refugees. The last graphic novel that I want to introduce to you is a 2019 YALSA Great Graphic Novel for Teens Top 10 list. Speak, the graphic novel by Laurie Halse Anderson, is based on her original award-winning novel, which was published in 1999. This updated graphic novel version has powerful grayscale ink illustrations by Emily Carroll, which help bring the story to life. The story begins with Melinda on her first day of high school. This should be an exciting, although nervous day for the average incoming freshman. For Melinda, it is a reminder of her isolation and exile from her previous friends and the entire school. Over the course of her first few days and weeks, the reader learns that Melinda has become an outcast to all except a brand new student, Heather, because she called the police, which broke up a party over the summer. Everyone assumes she called the cops to break up the party. No one knows the real reason she did. No one has bothered to ask. But then again, Melinda also hasn't been able to speak about it. Little by little, over the course of the school year, more details emerge about what happened at that party through Melinda's memories and flashbacks. She was raped by an upperclassman who attends her high school. Melinda is struggling because she is so plagued by her secret, by this trauma. She's depressed, struggling in school, and the one friend, Heather, she thought she had ends up ditching her for the popular crowd. Melinda's parents have their own marital issues and don't notice or bother to find out what's plaguing Melinda. The only place that Melinda finds any kind of comfort is in her art class. Her teacher, Mr. Freeman, has asked each student to focus on one subject for the school year. Melinda is assigned trees. At first it is a struggle, but eventually Melinda is able to communicate her feelings and emotions through her art in a very cathartic release. Her artwork allows her to find her voice. In the meantime, Melinda continues to be plagued by her rapist, Andy Evans, and he continues to torment her anytime they run into each other. The novel culminates in an intense and terrifying scene where Melinda is confronted by her rapist. Andy accuses her of lying to her friend Rachel, who he is now dating. Will Melinda escape? Will she be able to finally confront her assailant and speak up about what he did to her? Will anyone believe her? To find out the conclusion of this gripping and powerful graphic novel, come down to the library and check out Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson. I hope that you've enjoyed a glimpse into the wide variety of topics that graphic novels have to offer. These quick and easy reads are page turners and keep you motivated to find out more. The illustrations enhance your reading experience, drawing you deeper into the story being told. The New Kid by Jerry Craft, Unwanted, The Stories of the Syrian Refugees by Don Brown, and Speak, the graphic novel by Laurie Halse Anderson are all excellent choices as you discover the world of graphic novels. Hope to see you in the library.